In this video, I'm going to be giving Junaid Mahmood a haircut and beard cut today, and this video is going to be a tutorial on how to shape and style longer beards, keeping most the length, but he did want to cut down a little bit. But this is going to be focused on the beard portion, so I'm going to go ahead and zoom past the haircut now. Alright, we pretty much finished the head portion of the haircut. I am going to go back to touch up it at the end. But now I'm going to go ahead and do one of the most important steps of shaping a beard is you got to prep it. And one thing you can do is use a blow dryer brush. So this brush has air blowing out of it, so it's pretty hot, and then it brushes at the same time. And so what I'm doing is I'm brushing all the hair up. So this is the key in my opinion, is don't just brush it in the direction you want it to go. Just first brush it all up and then brush it straight down, and don't tuck it under his chin. So don't push it under his chin, go straight down, if that makes sense. You can see I'm kind of using my hand to guide it out, not pushing it under his chin, but trying to get it to flow out. I want the hair to lay out pretty straight. And you might not do this technique depending on the person's beard, the length of the beard. If the beard is relatively short, you definitely won't need to do it if it's pretty straight. Another thing is if the person generally styles his beard without blow drying it and it looks pretty straight without it, you can go ahead and not do it. It really depends on the client. But with Junaid's beard, his beard is very, I wouldn't say it's super like curly, but it's pretty messy would be the best way to define it. The growth pattern goes in a lot of different directions, and I always found that if I try to shape it without doing this, it takes me way longer because I end up combing it as I'm doing it, and then the length comes out to be different. And I've always found out this has been the best. Like even if it doesn't blow dry it after when you're styling it, this comes out the best. So you could also do this with a blow dryer and a brush separately. You can see right now I have a blow dryer. I'm just using this to get off the hair off of him, but you could use that in a vented brush or a spiral brush that will also do the same thing. I just found that having the built-in blow dryer with a brush is it's just much faster for me, and it keeps my other hand open in case I need to use that hand. So I think I'm pretty much done here blow drying now. I'm gonna go into now freehanding the beard with the clipper. Alright, now I got my clipper, and now that the beard is prepped and blow dried, I got my clipper over here with the blade completely closed. So that means the lever is all the way in, the cutting blade and the steel blade are close, and I'm now freehanding the beard. This technique I have picked up from, I think from Mr. Official. I've seen some Instagram videos, and I found this to be a very quick way to do it, as well as it looks the best. I think because you could just focus on the shape of the beard, as opposed to if you're using a scissors, you're also focusing on the cutting, like you're focusing on where the scissors is moving as you're pushing the blade down. And this way you can just focus on the shape and it's good to go. You do have to be a little more careful because obviously you're taking a lot more hair off with each stroke. But once you get it down, I think it's the best way to do it. You blow dry it all the way up. So right now the way I'm doing it is I'm looking at it from an angle where I could see all the hairs that are sticking out, and I'm basically trying to put the blade flat on the face, and then I'm gliding it over the hairs to kind of make it flat on the face to take out all the hairs that are sticking out. So this part of the beard shaping right now is not taking off much length. So if you look at him face on, you would not think that his beard's a lot shorter, but it'll be a lot less bushy. It'd be a lot more tamed in at this part. Later I do shorten in the chin area. I'll get into that as that's what he requested. But say I was just doing a maintenance, he's trying to grow it out, this is what I would do. I would just shape it up like this, and I wouldn't really chop up into the middle too much. Well, one more thing before I get into what I'm doing over here in this step, I did start tapering the beard a little, as you can see by the sideburn area. I went to a bald taper, so that part is already done because I guess I counted that as part of the haircut, but that is going to fade into the beard, and I will go over the steps to fade into the beard. But now you can see I am kind of cutting off the length, and I'm still doing some shaping up as well in the front. You're going to see me rotating him now around. So still freehanding the front now, getting all those flyaways, flattening in the beard to make it more of a chiseled shape, less round of a shape. I think on 99% of people this looks better. This is what pretty much everyone is looking for. Now I'm actually taking off some length, you see here. I'm going into the middle and really refining the shape, but taking off a good amount of length. So I will, if I were to do this again, it might have been slightly more efficient to start off with this, because I'm probably going to end up touching up the sides as you see into this, but not too big of a difference. But yeah, if I guess if you were to be the fastest, it definitely, you would want to just go with the length first and then go ahead and shape it up. The way he likes his beard is he likes it not too pointy in the middle. He kind of likes that Dan Bilzerian look a little bit. So I try to give him what he wants, as well as balance what I think looks good on him. I'm going to go ahead and doing the same thing on this side. Alright, you can see over here I'm knocking out under the chin. So you don't want to dig up too deep under the chin, right? You don't want to raise the jawline or take off too much volume under there, because if you do, the beard is just going to get more transparent. And so you want to just do it to make it angled, make it a little pointed towards out, make the back of it slightly shorter than the front of it, but you don't want to just chop it off and make the beard transparent, because all that hair over there, it's really important for the volume of the beard. It might not look like that much, like at certain angles, but it won't look full without it. So, and one more thing is, if you have that part in there, if you try to take too much of it down, like you raise the neckline, it's pretty much pointless. You can't see the actual neckline itself, and you're going to have to keep cutting it after you do it. So you just leave it natural. It'll last longer for your client, it'll be more comfortable for your client, and it'll look better. So there's no reason to raise that part. The only part you want to touch is, you see the back of it, the part that's going towards the jaw. You see that right now, like by the ear. That part, tap at it. Don't put it all the way in. Don't make it a straight line. Let it curve naturally with the jawline, but just tap at it and make it a little cleaner, because if you go too in, like I said, it's gonna look worse, and the grow in it looks so bad when you have that stubble growing in the back of the thing. You got to keep it, follow the natural jawline. You want to use the natural features of any person. You want to use the natural anatomy of a person, the bone structure and things like that. You want it to complement it. You don't want to ever go against the bone structure, the face structure, anything like that, because it's, even if you get it to look good just for that cut, it won't look good once it's wet, once the beard is curly again, once the beard starts to grow in a little bit more. The same thing with the cheek line. You don't want to go too high up. You want to try to keep it as natural as possible. Well, it depends on what your client wants, of course, but it'll give your client the most longevity. And the type of people I usually cut, they prefer to have a longevity as opposed to the crispiest lineup. I mean, some of them want that real crispy line, and some of them want me to lower the beard line. So, you know, you give them what they want, but you let them know that, hey, the lower I bring your beard line, the more I put it into your actual full part of your beard, the less time it's gonna last, right? Because if you're just shaving off the thin hairs on top of the cheek, your lineup will last much longer, you know. Same thing with the neckline, same thing with you know, the nape area. You don't want to dig in too much, because the more you dig in, the less long it'll last. I don't know how much I can emphasize that. Same thing with the temple area. People like to get it really thin, and some people like how it looks, and I actually do like how it looks. But the grow back, is it worth the grow back? That will depend on your client, what they want, and what they how often they get cut. You know, someone who gets cut once every month, once a month and a half, you definitely don't want to dig into the sideburns at all. You want to keep it as natural as possible, because the grow back is not worth the sharpness. But if someone's getting cut every 2 weeks and they want that, then, you know, it's a good option for them. But most of my clients, and I feel the most of people, everyone's clients, you know, you do have clients that come every 2 weeks, but the majority of people, I feel, come 3 weeks to a month. That's my clients. So I try to balance it. I get it sharp, but I try to keep it where you don't get that green in a couple days, because no one likes that, right? And I like to, you know, keep my clients happy and keep them from having to feel like, oh my god, I need a cut after 2 weeks. I want them to feel like, okay, my cut looked better 2 weeks ago, but I can go another 2 weeks longer without getting it. Give them the most value you can possible. All right, you can see over here I'm trimming the mustache. So I have a number 1 guard, and I think for the JRL clipper, I think a number 1 guard is a pretty good balance. I think I have it completely closed, the clipper. depending on your client, you're going to want to use a different guard. Sometimes I use a 1.5, sometimes I use a 1. I don't go longer than that. I don't think it looks better longer than that. And also, there's no longevity, which I think is huge, which is why I used a 1 close here, because I do think a 1 with a few clicks open will look better than a 1 close, but it'll give that extra few days of longevity. And one thing to tell your clients to get right under the nose is have them put their lip down, and so you can get all the hairs right under the nostrils, because you want to make sure the mustache is pretty much even and not, having a bunch of different lengths in there. It won't look good. Alright, I went ahead and skipped ahead to the lineup part with the straight blade. Apologize, my arm was a little bit in the way, but I'm going to try my best to describe what I'm doing here. And you should be able to see a little bit as well. I use a straight blade, the regular shark blades, and I put it onto my straight razor edge. And I don't use any shave gel or shaving cream or anything like that. I generally just do it dry. I found that it gets it... I have a pretty soft touch, and as long as you angle the blade correctly and you don't apply too much pressure, it should be comfortable for your client. If you think your client is uncomfortable or your client requests it, you should definitely use some sort of shave gel. I prefer not to for a few reasons. One is it gets the cut done faster, and I feel I can get crispier lineups out of it. When I put the gel on, it makes the skin kind of slippery, so I feel I don't have as much control. And I find that it just adds an extra step and a little bit of mess that I don't like to have to deal with. So if I don't have to, I skip it. There is times where I still use it if I can tell the client's skin is kind of rough, or the skin is red, or there's some irritation, anything like that. I will go ahead and use a shave gel, but in general, I like to do it dry. You got to make sure your blade is angled correctly. You try to have it almost flat, right? You want to come in with the blade, maybe 5-degree angle, 10-degree. I don't know the exact angle, but you want it almost flat, almost parallel to the skin with just a slight angle to slice off the hair. The more closer to a perpendicular 90-degree angle you go to, the more rough it'll be on the skin. And there's not really a point of that. And I pretty much never go against the grain when I'm using a blade. And I also generally don't use a blade on the neck, and just because I feel I can get a good enough line with a trimmer, and I feel it's just unnecessary uncomfort for the client. Unless they request it, I'll do it. But I found that whenever I get it on myself, it doesn't bother me too much, but I don't mind not getting it, so I usually don't do it. I do sometimes use a blade in the nape area. I feel sometimes it's quicker just to clear out the hair using that. But the cheek line, you definitely got to use a blade, and I like to have a curve in it. Not so much of a curve that looks very unnatural, but something that complements the face shape. And so I do stretch the skin a little as I'm shaving, but not so much that the curve is super exaggerated. And I like to get the line crispy, but like I said before, for most of my clients, if they don't have a preference, this is what I'll default to. And if they do have a preference, I'll do whatever they want. But my client over here, Junaid, usually just follows my advice, and he usually pretty much aligns to what I think, my views on what a good haircut is. And so we go for the sharp line, but we don't go for the sharp line with the sacrifice of longevity and lowering the line. So we rather have the line be not as dark and have it higher up. And I think that it looks better, it looks more natural. Nowadays, especially, natural haircuts are really coming in, natural styles having less of the super sharp groom look. The sharp lines are kind of going out a little bit, and I like to keep the sharp lines where I can, but where it's better off not to, I like to leave it more natural in general. And over here, I'm now freehanding a little bit with the trimmer. So this part is more of a request from my client. He does like to get the hairs under. I don't usually like lining up the neckline, especially when the beard is this length. I don't think there's a point, but he likes to get it done, so I do it. And usually I just do around the corners where you can see it, because look how I'm trying to look at the neckline. I can't even see it unless I'm literally going like up to his chest. So the fact that I need to do that to even see the neckline shows that it doesn't matter much, but he likes how it feels to have it much shorter down back over there. So I do what he wants. Alright, right now we're gonna be going into how to connect the haircut to the beard. So you want to focus on the shortest point. The shortest point is a bald, so clipper closed. I went ahead and did a clipper open already on the sideburns, and I did a half. Actually, I didn't use a half guard at all. You just skip the half guard with the JRL. It's pretty easy to skip the half guard. And now I'm going over it with a number, with a 1.5 or a 1. I can't tell if it's red or pink. I believe that was a number 1. And I'm trying to blend it into the beard. You don't want to go too deep into the beard. Now I got a number 2 on. My rule is once you go below the earlobe, that's the length of the beard. So anything below the earlobe is like what the person wants in the length of the beard. You don't want to be still kind of fading into it, maybe just blending a little bit, refining into it, but you really don't want to be digging in too much. As you can see, I got a number 2. I'm kind of flicking it at the end there. And just, you know, if his beard was longer, for example, I probably wouldn't go with the number 2 that low. I would be going with a number 3 at that point, because you don't want to take off too much length from that area. I believe I already did the other side at this point, and I do have to refine the haircut a bit, so I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Alright, this is the before of the haircut. Probably went about 2 months since his last cut. And this is the after. Let me know what you guys think of the cut, the fade, the blend, or more of a taper, and the beard. And let me know what you guys want to see next. Thanks for watching.